Do 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 do. He's still alive. Holy shit! That's insane. 12-hour fucking stream in the middle of the night. Bam bam. 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 Fuck. Here. Bam. Wait, is this not picking? Okay, it is picking up. Macho, macho man. I wanna be a macho man. Up to 401 there. That video didn't do well. I didn't think it was gonna. I really didn't think it was gonna. That was just, I should get this together quick and keep with my schedule. Hey, what's up, Feisty? How are you doing, Colleen? I figured, I just kind of figured yesterday, I was like, you know what? I spend a lot of my free time, like, in the early part of the day before stream, a lot of my time is spent editing, which is time I'm at my computer and in front of my webcam, and I might as well stream it and make it a just chatting thing. Get more time interaction, help keep me sane while I do it. And hey, maybe Pirate Software gets a lot of his people watch him code. Maybe I'll get people that want to watch me edit. Although I don't think, I'm going to check real quick if there's a Twitch category for editing or something like that. Because right now I'm having it as, yeah, I'll have to find that later. Because right now I have it as just chatting. But I wonder if there's a Twitch category for editing, because I think Pirate Software was the one that got the Twitch category for coding made. Because he got so popular, and people were like, oh, this needs to be a thing. Hello, Lila Show. How you doing? Been prepping dinner and a birthday cake? Ooh, whose cake you making? Oh god, I was about to... I'm doing alright, Tired, my sleep's been... I don't want to say more fucked up than usual, but it's been about as fucked up as it is when it's bad, which is most of the time. So... Right now I'm talking to an artist, a friend of mine, that's going to help me with some stuff. I'm good, Lila. How are you? Oh, at work, Feisty? Okay, well, hey. I've been looking to try to find a side job editing for people. And I ranted about it on stream yesterday, and I might end up making a video about it. But the number... Because ideally, I would want to be an editor for another content creator because that's kind of the side of this I enjoy more that allows me to help someone's creativity be expressed through my own creativity. And I think that would be a really satisfying thing for me to do as a little side hustle. But every job I found, like from a company that was looking for an editor, that was like posted on Indeed or something, is like or it's basically yeah, you can work from home, but also you're gonna be full time, and we're only gonna pay you like $30,000 a year, which is fucking nothing. If it's full time, I and hmm. And then everyone, I'll finish the other thought before I finish that thought. Everyone, like 99% of the content creators that are posting looking for an editor are like all say, "I can't afford to pay you. I can't afford to pay you. But I will share my profits with you when I become monetized." I've been doing this for a year and pushing for it, and I'm not monetized yet on YouTube. It's gonna take a lot of time and a lot of luck to get monetized, and in the meantime, that 8-minute malicious compliance video I posted, that is an 8-minute video, and it took me probably 5 hours of editing. Editing is a lot more work than people think it is, but everyone's just so comfortable saying, "Well, I'll pay you and I'll pay." Some of them legitimately said basically, "Well, it'll be good experience learning how to edit for someone, and I'll link you with my stuff, and it might help you get more work. So basically, pay you an exposure." I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not working 5 hours per video for you to get paid an exposure. It's yeah. I've been working off commission for a few years. Pokimane only started making money after like 4 to 5 years, so it does take a lot of time. Yeah, it takes time and luck, man. It takes a lot of time and a lot of luck. So I don't want to put in hundreds of hours of work, thousands potentially of hours of work to eventually maybe get paid when you get monetized if you don't try to screw me over on it. If you give me hourly pay, it's nothing compared to exactly. I would because I did editing for another content creator like 2 or 3 years ago, and it just became a thing where she needed to stop doing it for other reasons, and it whatever. Uh, and I basically worked piecework, and I like that. I like it, and she was a lot more lax with the schedule, but I try to keep to a schedule for her. Like she said, "Oh, if it's late, it's fine, whatever." She didn't care as much. But I was like, "No, I'm going to keep to a schedule because I'm going to have some integrity with this." Um, but it was I kind of kept track of my hours, and it was paid more so in piecework, which is kind of what I would want to do. I'd want to do it as you tell me what you want, you send me the video file, and I get an estimate of how long do I think this will take me based off of what you want, how long the video is, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll say, okay, this is the rate that I charge for that kind of thing, and work off of that. The cool thing about hourly and whatever is, yeah, it's consistent, but I don't want to work your hours necessarily, especially because I have like ADHD. I'm a lot more active at night. I'm a lot more productive at night. The only reason I'm not doing night streams and stuff anymore is because I have a girlfriend now. So I want to spend time with her, and she needs to get up for work in the morning. So I switched a lot of my schedule around for that. But I would love to just be like, hey, I want to put out this many videos a week. I'll pay you this much. Get them done by this time each day. I could do that. I could do that super easy. But I saw one of the posts was, I want you to take my videos and turn them into shorts, and I'll pay you $1 per short you put out. $1 per short? Do you know how long it takes? One of my shorts, when I make one of my shorts for something that I clipped out and I know exactly what I want out of it, it takes me 15 to 30 minutes at least to turn that into a short. So $1 per short is so below minimum wage. Yeah, ADHD is killer with trying to function, and I have my Adderall and shit, but I don't always want to take it, especially like if my other parts of my mental health aren't doing as well. Taking the Adderall will potentially exacerbate them, so I have to whatever. I have to gauge whether or not it's smart to take it that day. Yeah, there are many companies that have a lot of flexible hours. I'm looking around. I'm looking for like editing ones. I'd like to make a little bit extra money. I'd like to basically be like, hey, putting more in a savings than, breaking even every month, and then having that as a bit of a safety net when shit hits the fan kind of thing. Because right now I'm pretty break even. Uh, that means anytime I have to spend more money one month, I lose a little bit, and I don't like that. Macho, macho man. I wanna be a macho man. Okay, let's go through my actual setup processes. I'll admit I started before I was fully ready because I saw it was 11:11. I was like, oh, that'd be good luck to start right now. So I just like, fuck, I'll get it going. But right now today, I have an hour and a half plus long rant about my worst boss, and I need to trim that down so I can start editing that into a few videos. So that's my focus today. Getting that done. Let's see. Can I get you to capture Adobe? It won't let me capture Adobe because Adobe's not a game, which means I have to start a different thing for it. Okay, do. But how's everyone else doing today? Nope, fuck. That's not how I wanted to do it, because that is scaled out weird. Capture. Title this one, Adobe. Going to be specifically Adobe. There you go. Being weird. Capture stuff. See everything. Oh, there you go. I want to go my day off yesterday. What do you do? If you don't mind me asking, what do you do professionally? And I feel that I always I tried to work out, and obviously I was in the military, so I was advised not to do this, even if they agreed even if that was agreed to. I tried to work out doing 10 hours a week and 4 days, 10 hours a day and 4 days a week, so that I could have a 3-day weekend. Because one day off or even 2 days off isn't enough. You spend that first day recovering and that second day prepping. And I was advised as like my boss was like, I'll ask for you. I'll ask if the higher ups are okay with you setting that schedule. But I'm going to warn you right now, if you set that schedule, all that's going to end up happening is you end up working 5-10 hour days, because you'll technically have off, but be like, oh, we need Johnston today, and you'll end up getting called in anyways. I was like, you know what? Smart. I'm not going to do that. What I did when I was getting out of the military, I had a bunch of leave saved up, so I just started taking up. I put in like a whole bunch of shits to take off every Friday, so I'd have 3-day weekends and use up my leave. Oh fuck! Oh, that's the wrong one. That's my good phone. So I always leave the Twitch stream up. I have an old phone that like I wasn't able to trade in. So I leave the Twitch stream up on one phone and my YouTube stream up on another phone, so that I can see what stream looks like to the people watching, since it's oftentimes a little bit different than what I see on Stream Manager. And that way, when I have had times where someone's like, "Hey, the sound is off," or "This is off," or "There's a delay," or whatever, I can look and see, is there a delay, or is this something on their side? Is this something I need to fix, or is this something that's happening on their side? Because sometimes it's something that's fucked up with my side, and sometimes it's just like, "Hey, I think you might just have a slow computer right now, where your internet might be getting chokeholded." Okay. Did I already trim out that side of the video, though? Let's see. I have something titled "My Worst Boss," but I don't think. What day did I record that? Yeah, I didn't actually trim it out. Wait, no, I think I did. I think I did. Where is it? There one titled. God damn it! Documents. Adobe. Premiere Pro. The one that says "My Worst Boss." Yep, there it is. That might have trimmed it out. Yeah, okay, good. That's saving a little bit of time right now. Yeah, I have an hour and 41 minutes of ranting that I need to trim down into something good. And it's going to end up being trimmed into a bunch of different shorts. Or not a bunch of different like short videos, or not short videos, but like regular videos, and then I'll end up posting at the end. So, and but hey, this doing this new thing of you know, oh, I need to turn stream avatars on. Doing this new thing of streaming myself when I'm doing editing occasionally will open people's eyes to like the weird process I go through to handle my OCD and ADHD while I'm editing, of just so many bins. So many bins of everything organized in a different way. Let's see if stream avatars fucking fix, because I was annoyed about that. Whee! Look at this. Whee! Where'd you go? Oh no! Oh, there you are. Whee! Hold on. What's this one? Let me make a little structure for you guys, real quick. Bam. This is completely me being incredibly productive right now. There you go. Got a little jungle gym to play on. Fuck, this could be annoying. I hate listening to myself talk. So, to get a handle on the type of leader that Sergeant Shrek is, Sergeant Gone be disrespectful to us because we didn't deserve her respect. That story came around. When she first came to the team, me and the other had our current LPO when her biggest fault was the petty officer orders. She'd be like, "Oh well, okay, blah blah blah," without. We were at a joint command. The reason why I had a sergeant as a boss was because we were at a joint command. So we had Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard all at the same command, and all in kind of a joint control type of thing. Let me get rid of this fucker. Hold on. Thank you, Pancake. It was kind of like the scene from Office Space, the command structure as a whole, where there was some intersection. But I actually realized I need to do something real quick. Fuck. The pin post. Whatever. Fuck. Someone remind me, if I don't end stream before I switch to gaming, someone please remind me to turn on the recording. And I have it turned off right now because there's like no point in me recording this. I also had like a civilian command. Oh, this is not a Navy command. Oh, this by the civilian group standards, not any one of the branches standards. The commands chain of command would, like, if we had details or if there's stuff that needed to get done around 600. Very often, because of the way that the army runs, the army runs everything on an SOP. But most of them here, we don't follow those SOPs. There are a lot of tasks that were assigned to me, a lot of projects that were assigned to me. Immediately starts telling me and Petty Officer O that we need to do it differently. We need to do it the Navy or the. Rename this. Styles. Dash. Macho man. I want to be a macho man. Content man. I want to be a content man. Army way, because she's in the army. We're going to do it the army way. We both try to explain to her that, well, Sergeant Shrek, this is not an army. Not an army command product. Send up stuff to the higher chain of command, the person above us. The cat one? Or did you send it to me on Discord? Where is it? Because the cat one's not a video, it's saying. It's a blurry picture. Yeah, it's just a blurry picture. It says video, but it's not letting me play it. Of Leggy? The one of Leggy? Yeah, it's being weird. For review, under my name, refused to let me put it forward with the way it was supposed to be done. Refused to let me do it the right way. Would force me. I'd do the product the right way. I would submit it to her for. He would turn around and say, "No, change it like this. Change it like this." Like, Sergeant Shrek, that blah blah. You're gonna put it forward the way I told you to. So I would get chewed out by the civilian that we were supporting it to, and then the higher up, because everyone was like, that any single part of this story. Okay, hold on. Officer B was great. Sergeant Shrek came onto the team. Somewhere around 7. No, we do it this way here. We don't follow those SOPs here. This is not an. All the reporting with the proper. We are supposed to do it based off. We need to do it differently. We need to do it the Navy or the Army way. Not an Army command. There's this specific way that we have to do. Send up reports, send up products, send up stuff to the higher chain of command, the person above us, for review under my name. Refuse to let me do it the right way. Would force my name on it. So I would get chewed out. Content, man. People were. Why? 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 Going to her. people were going to her, like the civilian in charge and then the officers in charge and shit, were going to her and be like, hey, why does Johnston keep submitting these products wrong? Why does Johnston blah, 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 because I didn't want to be the person that sold out my sergeant. Ah, gotcha. You're right, ma'am. You're right, sir. You're right, whoever. This isn't my. This is my fault. I'll do better. Blah blah blah. Because I didn't want to be the person that's going to her and be like, hey, why does Johnston keep submitting these products wrong? Why does Johnston keep submitting these reports wrong? What? And then saying, yeah, I think Johnston's kind of a fuck up. I think Johnston's kind of doing all this stuff wrong. But would keep doing that. Come to find out, people were going to her. Because I didn't want to be the person that sold out my sergeant. There. People were going to her. People were going to her, like the civilian in charge and then the officers in charge and shit, were going to her and be like, hey, why does Johnston keep submitting these products wrong? Why does Johnston keep submitting these reports wrong? What's going on? And she'd be like, oh, I don't know. I thought that's how we were supposed to do it. I thought that's how we're supposed to do it. So when he submitted, I thought it was okay, blah, blah, blah. And then saying, yeah, I think Johnston's kind of a fuck up. I think Johnston's kind of doing all this stuff wrong, blah, blah, blah. Shit talking me to refuse to admit to her mistakes, and eventually admitted, to me at least, to me and Petty Officer O, that the reason she kept forcing us to submit stuff wrong was because she was trying to strong-arm the command into doing everything the Army way by just, like, having us repeatedly submit reports and products the Army way that was wrong, and hoping that they would see it and think, oh, that's better. But still not taking ownership of the fact that she was the one telling us to do this. At one point, we have a sit-down conversation with her. Well, at one point, her and Petty Officer O are really going to head-to-head. I'm 20 at this time. This ownership of the fact that she was the one telling us to do this. It's both here and here. Conversation with her. Well, at one point, her and Petty Officer O are really going to head-to-head. I'm 20 at this time. I think I was 19 when she got there. I might have been fighting back on a lot of this product stuff. I, at that point, was just kind of like, fine, I'll submit it the way she wants me to. I'll get yelled at, and then I'll do it the right way because that's the way I'm being told to do it. Whatever. Petty Officer O wasn't doing that. She was fighting it a lot harder. Petty Officer O was also like in her mid-30s. Point, because Petty Officer O sat where me and Sergeant Shrek's workstations were separate from where Petty Officer O and the civilian in charge of the team's workstations were, because like they were put over in a support role so they can support a different team under the guise of our work. Sergeant Shrekker just they're sitting there one day and she's like, Johnston, can I talk to you about something? I was like, oh god, what? You've known Petty Officer O longer than I have. Like, what am I doing wrong? This is a moment that we can actually move. The work relationships are happening, and it'll stop being stressful. Getting grief for it. We're the ones that are constantly getting yelled at for it because they're expecting us to teach you, but you're not listening. Disrespectful. You're talking down to us, and I get it. Yes, you outrank us. You are our sergeant. But just because we're in the military, and just because we have this uniform on, and just because you outrank us, in the Army, it's impossible for me to disrespect you because I outrank you. So you don't deserve any respect to me. I don't owe you any respect. So there's nothing I can do or say to you that would be considered Marine Staff Sergeant right near me, because this was also a Staff Sergeant. Disrespectful. And I just kind of looked at that, and there was actually a Marine that I heard after that turn over and just kind of start listening, or I saw after that, you don't owe us any respect as your subordinates, which isn't true. Necessarily as someone that you have unlimited power over, tell us that we are doing our job well, and that you appreciate the others. Anytime she heard something she didn't like, that she could not react, would really help. She goes, oh. Would really help. She goes, oh. Okay. gets up and walks away. That was a content man. I wanna be a content man. Do, do, do. She goes, "Oh, okay, would really help." She goes, "Oh." Why is it doing that? Why does it do that? I fucking hate when it does that. She goes, "Oh, okay." Gets up and walks away. That was a trend of hers. Anytime she heard something she didn't like, that she could not react, she would just kind of say, "Oh, okay," suck her teeth at me, and then walk away and disappear for sometimes hours. That was just a thing that she would do all the time. Oh, okay, walk away for hours. Not tell anyone where she is. Which for a while I was covering for her, and someone asked, "Where's Sergeant Shrek?" I'd be like, "I don't know." I'd be like, "Oh, she went to the bathroom," or "Oh, she went to a dental appointment," or "Oh, she went here," "Well, she went there." I'll let her know you're looking for her. The staff sergeant, the Marine staff, I'll let. Bam. The staff sergeant, the Marine staff sergeant, after she walked away, immediately like pulled me aside. He's like, "Johnston, I think you explained that very eloquently. I think you did a great job. It looks like she's mad at you. I don't think you did anything wrong. My recommendation for dealing with a boss like this is, what I used to do is during lunch, when I had a lunch break, I would make sure, because I didn't take my lunch breaks, I would eat at the table. We were supposed to get like 30 minutes for lunch or something like that. I would eat at my workspace, and keep working while I was eating. And then like I would take a part of lunch break to go to the gym if I could. If I didn't have too much work on my plate, I would take part of my lunch break and go to the gym. I want to be. So what I used to do is, what he said was, what I used to do is, when I would bring a book and I would take my lunch break, and when I took my lunch break, I would go to one of the conference rooms, or I would go to one of these different areas, or one of these different, like, we didn't have break rooms per se, but we kind of did, or I'd go to one of the break rooms. I'd go somewhere where they couldn't find me for my lunch break, and I would just read that book and calm down. Anything like that you do. Times he's like, "Great. From now on, don't take your lunch at work. Don't take a working lunch. Go to the gym. Use that time to disconnect yourself from work. I don't want to see that happening to you." I think she's about to throw a hissy fit. I found out later, anytime that so he got up and goes to Pfizer and talks to her. Bam. Because she would also do that. If anytime I found out later, anytime that me or Petty Officer O said something she didn't like or did something she didn't like, but we were right, so she couldn't really do anything about us. Like, she couldn't punish us for it because we didn't do anything wrong or disrespect for anything. She would go and throw a hissy fit to one of the Sergeant First classes or someone else about how shitty we're being, which is just a bad look for you as a leader. Like, as a leader, you're going to throw a hissy fit about one of your subordinates to one of your superiors. That just says you don't know how to handle this. That says you don't know how to lead. That's a referendum on you. So he leaves, and who do I got hanging out on YouTube right now? Is that Perrin, HGTV, or Deadman? She did end up. She did end up going to one of her Sergeant First classes, who was like in her Army side chain of command, to complain about me and Petty Officer O and blah blah blah. Talks to her. She did end up how to lead. That's a referendum on you. Put that there. That there. Her Sergeant First Classes, who was like in her Army side chain of command, to complain about me and Petty Officer O and blah blah blah. So this Sergeant First Class, I actually really liked him. Cannot remember his name. What's that dude? I think he's the Allstate guy. Kind of like Dennis Haysbert. Like if you said they were brothers, Officer O, Sergeant Haysbert, all get pulled into a room with Sergeant Shrek, and we're gonna hatch this shit out. I'll pop up Dennis Haysbert. Hold on, I need to get out of here. Story about my worst boss. I'm just trying to escape before I die. We get pulled into a room with Sergeant Haysbert. And it's basically like, okay, we're gonna hash things out. Kind of. It was basically we're gonna be as a team, talk about our issues,
War dog.
and have him as. Yeah, I posted in Discord yesterday. I'm gonna start doing like streaming while I'm editing, because I spend so much time editing as it is, and I spend so much time at my computer editing that I might as well turn that into like a just chatting thing. Chat while I'm editing, and people could see my process, and it'd be a good like way to get interaction and shit, and help keep me like sane while I'm doing it, so I don't just like, fuck, I need to take a break all the time. Which I enjoy editing, so that's usually not a problem. But I mean, Pirate Software, like I said earlier, Pirate Software, streams himself doing coding, and that's really popular. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is like something people would enjoy seeing. It's like the editing process. If people could enjoy seeing the coding process, maybe people will enjoy seeing the editing process. So that could be a whole thing. So like, why not? Why not get that? Why not turn it into a just chatting thing? I'm already here. I might as well do it. As a mediator, to give advice as someone who has been in the military for longer than anyone, is that she is having us do stuff based off of standard that she wants, but not what is correct, which is causing us to get yelled at by the people that we're delivering products or reports to. And then she is passing the buck on to us, even though we've told her that that's not how we're supposed to do it. And I feel like, and I quoted her in that, I feel like she doesn't believe that she needs to treat us with any modicum of respect, because
also,
as she directly said to me, she believes that because she outranks us, that we are not entitled to any respect from her. And Sergeant Haysbert's first thing is asking her about like what she meant by that, and she's giving off some excuse like, well, I don't think I ever said that. I don't think I ever said that. You said that. I want to understand why you said that. Evolves because Petty Officer O kind of goes on and see, this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. Blah blah. All this different stuff. And now they're going back and forth arguing about how Petty Officer O doesn't feel like she's being treated with respect, and Petty Officer O is being shit on a lot. And I had my own problems with Petty Officer O, but not even relevant to this. And Sergeant Shrek at one point says to her, well, I think you're just throwing a tantrum like a child because and you don't deserve that level of respect that you think you deserve from me. You're a 30-something-year-old woman, and you need to act like an adult. Haysbert immediately goes, Johnston, Petty Officer O, can you please leave? We leave. We walk out. This was before I understood. If you are having one of these sessions with you get asked to leave the room, not because you did anything wrong. Someone to chew out your undermines your authority. We're in trouble, but I walk out the room and I thought it was kind of us in trouble. I did. Shrek finally gets back to our workspace. She explains, like, okay, we're gonna do things by the. We're not supposed to make someone do push-ups or make someone. She's treating us a little bit better, but she was still constantly trying to. A constant problem. I still think it's stupid and blah blah blah, and we need to make changes. We need to see what we can do about making changes to that, blah blah blah, and and for a little bit, she was treating us a little bit better. A little bit, she was treating us a little bit better, but she was still constantly trying to do stuff to undermine us, and it was a constant problem. I'm going to reorganize this. She had this tendency, which one thing she did a lot, and technically in the military as it is now, to and it was a constant problem. I'm going to reorganize this a little bit. Damage. Look bad. She did a lot, and technically in the military as it is now, you're not supposed to
What's
make
up, Zero?
someone
How
do
you doing?
push-ups
I
or
see you
make
in
someone
chat.
do EM. In the Navy, you just can't do it anymore. It's not a thing. You can't make someone do physical punishment if they're not like at boot camp. But even my understanding in the Army, you cannot make someone do that if there is not an NCO there doing it with them. So if you wanted to, punish someone by making them do a shit ton of push-ups, you would have to have an NCO down there doing push-ups with them. The way you get around that being hard on the NCOs is you get like 6 NCOs and have each of them take turns doing push-ups, so that guy's doing all of them by himself. Sergeant Finona had a tendency to just get bored. And remind you, in the Navy, Sergeant Finona had a tendency, you weren't allowed to do that, which I disagree with. I think you should be allowed to, because now the only thing you can do in the Navy to punish one of your guys if they're fucking up is give them paperwork, and that paperwork can affect their career. I'd rather correct the problem. I would rather make them not want to fuck up because they're afraid it's going to hurt them or because they're motivated to do their job well, rather than potentially affect their career with it. But Sergeant Shrek would just get bored sometimes and be like, Johnston, do push-ups. I was like, fuck. And at this point, I thought it was okay. I thought she was allowed to do that, so I didn't fight it at all. And also, I didn't want to be the guy that was complaining. In my mind, I joined the military. The military is meant to be hard. The military is meant to be rough. So I wasn't going to complain about it. I wanted to do a bunch of other shit in my career. Like, I was like, this is not the thing I'm going to complain about. So at first, it didn't really bother me any more than the fact that, like, it was annoying sometimes. I'd be in the middle of doing work that I was trying to get done by a time frame, and she'd just get bored and tell me to do push-ups. Or if she didn't like something that I did, even if it had nothing to do with work, she would get bored and tell me to do push-ups or whatever. The most stupid reasons, like I did a product the correct way, but it wasn't the way that she wanted it because she wanted me to do it the wrong way. So do push-ups, and I had to do like 50 push-ups. That was more annoying than anything at first. But then, one of the times, now mind you, I was at the command for about 6 to 9 months before she got there. And before she got there, I was seen as fairly shit hot, like new but like motivated. I need to find Wade. One of the times I'm doing push-ups, one of the guys, me, comes over, but we weren't friends or anything, but he was a superior. He was second class when I was push-ups. I hear him say that, and then I hear her say, Johnston's just fucking up again. Not as a joke, not as whatever, like legitimately passing around that I was doing push-ups because I was a fuck-up. Out that she would go around constantly and talk shit about me. So after a while, it got to the point where, like, I didn't mind doing the push-ups because the push-ups were hard. I was incredibly fit back then. I was doing those push-ups as a way to pass around this idea that I was a fuck-up. Navy personnel saw me doing push-ups and saw me doing push-ups as what they perceived as a punitive measure, and about it because that'll play in later. Power, because I have nothing left to do on here. Where is power? And did nothing about it because that'll play in later. Bam. That both has an insulting media leadership. Degrading. Switch over to Power World because I have nothing left to do on here. Where is Power World? About it because that'll play in later. I don't know. I might have it on my PlayStation. Anyways, that was super weird. That was. I hope so. I hope it's interesting, because I'm kind of doing it in a more. I God, hard to do on a bed. I stuck my ass up way too much during those push-ups. What the fuck? To be fair, though, the bed was kind of causing me to sink, so I was trying not to sink into it and basically be laying down. It is something I actually said I was going to do when I eventually get this room turned fully into an office. I'm going to set up like a pull-up tower there, pull-up/dip tower, and probably like a little pad to do push-ups on, and make it one of the channel points rewards is you can punish me by making me do push-ups or pull-ups or dips or something like that. That's something I want to add. I just need the space to do it. God. Fuck, fine, I'll do push-ups. That's really... Oh, I thought you were telling me to do push-ups. Okay. Well, never mind then. Why is this being difficult? Yeah. Listen, I got a little bit of motivated there. A little bit of... So, I come to find out... I can cut that whole part out. That's gonna knock out 4 minutes. I come to find out that fucking me when a product got sent back and saying, oh yeah, no, Johnston didn't tell me that, or when I was doing push-ups, Sergeant Shrek would actively go out of her way when, like, half the time, well, anytime, like, she was going, oh, and walked off, she was shit-talking me. But she would also just casually shit-talk me and Petty Officer O whenever she got the chance, really. Just anytime she was talking about any other NCOs, she would shit-talk, like, how bad we were and how bad we were at our jobs and whatnot. I found this out because that same guy that came over and said, why is Johnston doing push-ups, comes to me later and says, hey, man, is everything all right? This is the only person. This is the single only person that during the course of any of this actually tried to talk to me about anything at all to begin with. But comes up to me at one point, pulls me aside and said, hey, man, everything all right? And at this, I don't know what he's talking about. I thought, like, my first thought was, oh, maybe he notices that this sergeant's being real bad. Because I still had this mentality of telling myself that me being upset about what was happening, and there's more, like, I'm going to get to more. What was happening was me being weak and me not being cut out for this, not the fact that it was a really, really shitty boss. So I thought, maybe this is going to be him coming over and saying, yeah, no, Sergeant Shrek's not doing things right. Sergeant Shrek's screwing you over. He comes over and says, hey, everything all right? It's like, yeah, why? He's like, well, because I've been hearing lately, like, that you're kind of screwing up a lot. And you used to be pretty shit hot. You were super motivated. Like, you had your stuff together. I've heard you've been screwing up a lot. I was like, why? Because of the push-ups the other day? He's like, well, that and just, like, you know, your sergeant's been coming over and talking about how you're screwing up a lot and how you don't got anything together, and that just doesn't seem like you. Is everything all right? So he was checking on me. He was trying to make sure that I wasn't like on drugs or anything, because we had a. I hate how loud this game gets. We had a dude that was the audio files a bit so of a screw up out because he got on drugs, but he was shit hot before that. So he was checking on me. I'll give him that. But I said, "No, I'm just trying my best. I'm just trying my best, petty officer. I mean, whatever." It's like, okay, well, you need to reach out. And I appreciated that, but also it just kind of made me feel like more pushed away, because I was like, okay, now everyone's just got this mentality that I'm a massive piece of shit. And apparently she's been talking to everyone about this, which actually coincidentally, like a little side story about this. Which actually coincidentally, like a little side story. She was shit talking me to someone at one point. We had a time period that put me into a very dark, not safe for YouTube place. Not an announced room inspection. So there's two different. If it was an unannounced room inspection, then it was just a matter of like, hey, let's make sure that this place isn't total chaos. Let's make sure that this is not. This was an unannounced room inspection. There was a Tupperware container in the sink. That would have failed you on an announced room inspection, but no, I think it was just because the barracks PO was being a dick because I was a CFL and he was way out of shape. And did not like me because I was, his mortal enemy there because of that. My immediate thought isn't, oh my god, reinspection. My immediate thought isn't, because it's going to be just a miserable time for me. I can't keep my room clean. Even after I explain that it was just a Tupperware container in the sink. No, you're some whole rant about how bad of a person I am because I failed a room inspection. LPO comes over and pulls me aside. Hey, Johnson, can we talk? Yeah. Or he says, hey, Johnson, let's talk. Not can we talk. He says, hey, Johnson, let's talk. Pull not really aside, just in a... Like, when you got here, you seem so motivated. You seem like you had shit together, and all I'm hearing is bad things about you. I'm hearing about you just screwing stuff up all the time, and now you're failing a room inspection? And teach you how to be in the Navy, how to write your evals, how to paper mentor. And I look at him. He wasn't. She was treating me wasn't okay. I didn't want to go to anyone and bitch about it. Going on in my life that was just like pushing me into a bad place. Kept me sane. The had been made clear to me that what she was doing was not okay. Once in a while, I was going to keep putting up with it until I, what's going on? Why are you screwing up? That damn near pushed me. I hate that man almost as much, or probably more in some ways. At least Sergeant Shrek had the narcissism about her. For this, Johnson, you're going to thank me, and so you for all this. At least she had that level of arrogance about her that she thought she was doing good. Massive piece of shit. He ended up becoming an officer last day. His functional team too, and I had picked and saying his goodbyes to everyone. And he walks over. He's like, Johnson, tries to shake my hand. I say, I just wins and following seas, petty officer. He's like, but do you hate me? I was like, it would be incredibly disrespectful for me to tell a first-class petty officer that I hate them. It's like, but do you? I was like, I wish you well, petty officer. Story doesn't have some justice. I'm going to be pissed at you for talking all. It made me stronger. It didn't make me better because I learned petty officer. That part right there is just a video on its own. Jesus. That is, let's see. That is 6 minutes long. I'd probably trim it down to about 5, but yeah, that alone I can make a video out of. Just I can tell the title now. My mentor told me depression made me a shitbag. I'm gonna be honest, if the story doesn't have some justice, I'm gonna be pissed at you for talking all. It kind of does. It has some justice towards the end, because this is also the one thing I'll say I got out of this. It didn't make me stronger. It didn't make me better because I learned how to put up with this shit. It made me learn how to play that political game really well and learn how to tell people that were superior to me how to go fuck themselves in the most politically correct way possible. So I learned that. But yeah, fuck that petty officer. That guy's, oh my god, I hate him. I hate him so much. The only reason I probably don't hate him more is because he was never directly in charge of me. Occasionally. But yeah, that happened. That whole thing happened. But she was constantly talking shit. I ended up finding out constantly talking shit about me. And it wasn't just about my back. It wasn't just behind my back, because pretty much every day I came in, every little thing that I did, she was deriding me for, she was insulting me, she was condescending to me. I mentioned earlier that she wasn't like a massively overweight woman, but she also wasn't fit at all. At that point in time, I was incredibly fit. I scored excellent on push-ups and curl-ups for a PR, or I scored max scores for push-ups and curl-ups on our PRT every time. I was one of the fitness leaders for our command. I scored usually around excellent for the run every PRT. I was working out constantly. I was insanely fit. And I was such healthy that day or whatever. She was straight up condescending, straight up in the product I turned in. She would deride me for it and tell me what a fuck up I was and how much I was failing. Pretty much, yeah. Different things. You're not smart enough to do that. You're not good enough to do that. You won't make it. You're not good enough. You're not good enough for that. You won't make that. How's everyone up to, chat? Is this actually something that is entertaining to y'all? Are you actually enjoying watching me editing? Or is this at least good background noise? Wanted to achieve. My work was constantly derided. She was still consistently making me send products forward that she knew would get turned back, and then telling people that I was the one that was screwing them up. Which, again, not a good look. She's my superior. She's supposed to be the quality control person. It's not a good look for her. Look, she's my superior. She's supposed to be the quality control person. It's not a good look for her. I knew I was going to be insulted, consistently try to force me to make products. She would consistently try to products time I was there. She would also the entire time I was there. That in both, because there's parts of it that are degrading me. There's parts of that that are making herself look bad. She would also consistently try to force me to. She would consistently try to follow Army uniform regulations and Army grooming standards and stuff rather than Navy ones, because you're under an Army chain of command right now. You're under an Army chain of command. It's like, I have to follow Navy regulations. I'm gonna take that degrading me and forcing me to look bad. I have to follow the Navy regulations. But would try to make me do things the Army way, do my uniform regulations the Army way, and I'd constantly have to end up every time that she tried to do that, I'd end up having to go over her head. Well, sergeants make me do this. Sergeant can't do that. You're in the Navy. I don't care if your NCOIC is an Army sergeant. You're following Navy standards. But it was just this. It would always end up making me have to look bad, and to anyone who didn't bother to talk to me, I looked bad. Anyone that didn't bother to ask me why I'm doing this thing the Army way instead of the Navy way, I looked bad. She also, at one point tried to demand. So in the Marines, in the Navy, you can call any petty officer just petty officer, and it's fine, unless they're a chief petty officer. But that's a chief. You call any E4 through E6 petty officer. That everyone their rank. If you're a corporal, you're a corp. You get called corporal. If you're a sergeant, you get called sergeant. If any so at one point tried to demand. So why I'm doing this thing the Army way instead of the Navy way, I looked bad. So at one point tried to demand. So petty officer just petty officer, and it's fine, unless if you're a sergeant, you get called sergeant. If you're a staff sergeant, you get called staff sergeant, etc., etc. Army way instead of the Navy way, I looked bad. that both has defying SOP and degrading me / forcing me to look bad, and this next part is going to go making herself look bad. In the Marines, in the Navy, you can call any petty officer just petty officer, and it's fine, unless they're a chief petty officer. But that's a chief. You call any like E4 through E, their rank. If you're a corporal, you're a you get called corporal. If you're a sergeant, you get called sergeant. I forgot you adding, and that noise kept scaring the fuck out of me. Wait, what noise? If you're a staff sergeant, you get called staff sergeant, etc., etc. But the Army is kind of similar to the Navy, and the fact that a sergeant, a staff sergeant, and a sergeant first class all just get called sergeant. They don't have to be called staff sergeant, sergeant first class, whatever. They get called sergeant. She decides one day, you know what, Johnston? You need to start calling me staff sergeant. Because I called her sergeant. It's like, it's staff sergeant. I'm like, oh, I'm gotcha. Sorry. I'm sorry, staff sergeant. I thought it was just, I just had to call you sergeant. It's like, no, you need to start calling me staff sergeant. I'm a staff sergeant. You will call me staff sergeant. One of my sergeant first classes was nearby. Immediately storms over and says, excuse me, what did you just tell him? I was like, well, I told him he used to call me staff sergeant. No, the fuck he doesn't. No, the fuck he doesn't. You are a staff sergeant. You can be called sergeant. This is the Army. He doesn't have to call you that. I'm a sergeant first class. He doesn't call me fucking sergeant first class. So do you think you're better than me? Are you saying you're better than me? You're more important than me. You deserve it, but I don't. That's what you're saying? The ranks. He knows all that. You don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be defying regulations and setting new rules for yourself. It's just a pay scale, essentially, and like sergeant first class is E7, and then E8 can be a little bit, but then E9 is sergeant major. And you don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be defying regulations and setting new rules for yourself. Yeah. Essentially an authority scale. So like E5 sergeant, sergeant major. And she's like, oh, okay, and and she's like, oh, okay, and then walks off again. Like after she gets done getting drilled, walks off again. And Sergeant First Class came over to me and like, hey, if she gives you more trouble about stuff like that, come to me. But at this point, I was kind of broken. I was like, okay, will do, but I wasn't going to say anything about a lot of the other stuff that was happening. But at least he got her for that. He got her for that. But she was constantly trying to do shit like that too, like getting me to defy regulations because that's how she wanted it done. There were a few times about a lot of the other stuff that was happening. And she's like, oh, okay, and then walks off again, like after she gets done getting drilled. Will do, but I wasn't going to say anything about a lot of the other stuff that was happening. Okay, make yourself look bad. Oh, okay. But at least he got her for that. He got her for that. But she was constantly trying to do shit like that too, like getting me to defy regulations because that's how she wanted it done. There were a few times she legitimately tried to get me to do things that were illegal, that were crimes, that would have been felonies. Her response was to make me do push-ups. She wasn't going to do it. She wasn't going to put her name on it because she knew it was illegal, but she would still make me do it or try to make me do it. And those were the things I refused. You're a nerd and not a corporal. I call you nerd, petty nerd. But what if you're a nerd and not a corporal? I call you nerd. Fuck me, I don't know. I had a few of my bosses that did. Man, she might have wanted to fuck me. I don't know. But yeah, there were several times that she tried to just... Bam. and those were the things I refused. But yeah, there were several times that she tried to just make me to do something that was illegal, turn something over to someone without the proper authority or proper justification, or something that that person was not allowed to have. And anytime I told her no, push-ups, and we'll go shit talk me and do whatever else, and have me do push-ups until she got back, kind of thing, or just sit there and watch me do push-ups. But then she wouldn't do it herself. She wouldn't, because she knew it was illegal. She knew it was wrong. She knew she couldn't do that. She couldn't do that. Hold on, I'm looking at my list of things. If you fuck up and call someone above you the wrong rank, you just get yelled at. You might get corrected, like if you're a mistake, you might get corrected and you might get sniped. You got a demotion now, you just don't yell at. If you're doing it consistently, but for the most part, you did not speak. Like, I got a few stories about just her level of arrogance. For the most part, you just get yelled at. And the one up for, you know, blatant disrespect, but for the most part, you just get yelled at. Bam. Wrong. She knew she couldn't do that. And the one, she had this level of arrogance about her. She did not speak. Like, I got a few stories about just her level of arrogance and those moments. She did not speak Spanish at all. Her husband was Filipino, but she didn't speak Spanish. And she didn't even speak that much Tagalog. Florida. We were stationed in South Florida. Hispanic people that spoke Spanish. Around that time Bailando came out, it was really popular to more Hispanic music and stuff. So context clues to figure that out. Or it was a specialist. He was a specialist. He's saying, I want to live with you and I want to be with you. He shows, oh, and walks away and disappears for like 2 hours. This was around the point when I stopped like covering for her. This was around the point when I stopped like covering for her when she disappeared for 2 hours at a time. So someone did come by looking for her. I think Warrant came by and was looking for her. I was like, "Where's Finona?" I was like, "I don't know. She lied to me about Spanish and then disappeared and said, oh, and left for 2 hours." He's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, I don't know where she is." He's like, "When she gets back, tell her to find me." Like, we'll do, Warrant. Well, we call it Army warrants. We call them Chief. Navy warrants, you call them Warrant because Chief is a rank in the Navy. Oh, we'll do, Chief. And that was that. She also, mind you, I was super fit at the time. Will do, Chief. Oh, I just remembered another story about her being arrogantly wrong. I just remembered another story about her being arrogantly wrong. Okay. I'll tell that part later, just because this is chaos. And that was that. She also, mind you, I was super fit at the time. I counted my calories to the gram. I counted everything. Was all about that base by Meghan Trainor, because as this community, well, I've seen people, but it's more common to see people like her be angry at people for lecture me my diet. I'd come in with my meal. My God, you shouldn't be eating that. That's unhealthy. You shouldn't be eating all that. You shouldn't be eating this. You shouldn't be eating that. Stupid I was and how fat I was and all this different stuff because I was eating this food. I was like, okay, what? During one of my advancement exams, that for being arrogantly wrong, and part of that was degrading me. Organizing this,
She at one point
it's going to be hard. Like actually making the final
during
video
one
is
of
going to be
my
so difficult
advancement
just to figure out
exams,
what goes where.
and this is just the section of her being arrogantly and narcissistically wrong and refusing to admit it. During one of my advancement exam, we had to know geography. The test, but we had to know geography. Anyone that was like part of the military, honestly, in general, is gonna give me shit for this. Exam, and this is the exam I missed by less than a point. Immediately went to the computer, questions.
There it is. Bam.
Was where is Mecca located of Islam? Where is it located? China, Germany, Saudi Arabia, and Yemen. Way too obvious. It must be Yemen, and I changed the answer to Yemen. I was about to write down Saudi Arabia. I was like, no, that's too obvious. They wouldn't give us an easy question like that. It's Yemen. And I just say it was asking where Mecca was, and I overthought it. Like the two options were narrowed down, and like I ended up choosing Yemen. Like, are you that stupid? It's I just looked at it, I was like, it's in Saudi Arabia. Jerusalem's in Israel. She goes, oh. This is the and storming off section. Yeah, anyone that thinks fucking Mecca is in Israel is a goddamn idiot. Anyone that worked the job I is in Israel is really, really fucking stupid. Yeah, this is the and walking of the of the story. Let me go. I have that one warned. She also refused to accept the fact.
Bam. Arrogantly wrong.
No, fuck.
Arrogantly wrong, and okay.
She also refused to accept the fact that a lot of what the Navy does, a lot of the weird stuff the Navy does, is done based off of tradition. For instance, the Army.
How's everyone doing?
You don't get your rank. You don't get to wear your rank until you're actually that rank. Because like you will the for the Navy, like the promotion cycle will happen. Everyone will take their exams. You'll get your score back, and based on where you scored, you will put that rank on within a certain amount of time. Or
I don't know if I want to use this
officially
part.
you will administratively become that rank after a certain amount of time. But everyone puts the rank on at the same time. We call it getting frocked. So there's a ceremony. Everyone has the rank pinned on them at the same time. But you're not administratively that rank, but you're expected to assume the duties and responsibility of that rank. That comes from tradition of when you're out to sea, you might need to replace someone real quick. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant to the story. But she would constantly yell at me because, like, why does your uniform? Why does the Navy wear that uniform? Why does the Navy wear this uniform? Why do you do that? It's like, well, it's a tradition thing. It's not tradition. Why would it be? And would yell at me for that. That was just some stupid shit that she would do. And then I would go and do the research and show, no, see, it's her tradition. Like, oh, walk away. Okay. Do.
Hold on, doing something, guys. Doing something. How's everyone doing? Bam. Okay, cool. I don't get what's happening with Twitch right now. Because I can see 5 people in chat, but it's saying 2. That's wild. But just constantly saying some stupid shit that she would do, and then I would go and do the research and show, no, see, it's her tradition. Like, oh. But just constantly, because of, it's because of her actual name. I call her Sergeant. But just constantly saying, but I'm not going to reveal her actual name. Actual name, no, see, it's her tradition. Stupid shit like that. Because of, it's because of her actual. Arrogantly wrong. Because of, it's very unlikely for you to pick an answer titled "Yeah, man," but on top of the constantly deriding me, constantly insulting me, just and mind you, yeah, man, but pop off king, fair. Bam. And mind you, on top of the constantly deriding me, constantly insulting me, just making my day-to-day life miserable, she would also just try to screw me over for shit. I would have a Navy meeting because we had let me send you the new thing real quick because I think it's slightly different. The IP is slightly different. I had to do that. No, I'm not going to tell her name. I'm not going to tell her name at all. Let me see something. This. I'm not going to tell her name. I'll edit it out when I actually do the video. I'll edit that out. Nothing I'm saying is wrong. It's just it'd be easier to not have to deal with that if it becomes a thing. Yeah, I'll edit that out. The Navy, we'd have a muster for the Navy. Our chief that was in charge of my section of muster up, talk about what was going on. I'd tell her, sorry, I have this thing I have to go to. Well, you gotta stay here. You gotta stay here. Blah blah, and just always make me late to that. Would always try to make me late to meetings I had to go to.
I had leave at one point, and the way we would take our leave is say if our official working day, like the day they have in our system, in the like computer systems, my section of muster up, talk about what was going on. Sergeant, I have this thing I have to go to. I stay here, blah blah, and just always make me late to that. Would always try to make me late to meetings I had to go to. I had leave at one point. And that I had leave at one point, and the way we would take our leave is say if our official working day, like the day they have in our system, in the like computer systems, was supposed to end leave, so from us, but it would mean that we were officially on leave after we were off duty, so that we couldn't get called in, we couldn't do any of that. So that's what I would do. I'd put in my leave at 1600. I'd put in my leave for 1601 the next day. I kind of forgot that you changed names. I thought her name was actually Shrek. Yeah, I put in my leave for 1601 next day. So I think this was around Christmas. I was taking a week. If you took Thanksgiving off, you leave at. I'm supposed to technically get off at 1600. 1530 comes around. I start getting ready to shut everything and whatnot. She's like, oh, right when she sees me like starting to get ready, she's like, oh, Johnston, can you pull this up? This project I was working on, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big thing. Hey, can you pull this stuff back up that you're working on? 50 comes around, I'm like, okay, Sergeant, I gotta start getting ready. Whoa, no. You gotta stay here. You gotta stay here till we got this done. I was like, okay. She ends up calling Warren over, which did not actually work in her favor. She calls Warren over to look at this thing, and Chief comes over and then looks like, Johnston, why are you here? I was like, we got this thing that we got to work on. We got the Finona wants, or fuck. Okay, I need to mark that time. Shrek wants shit. Sergeant Shrek wants me to look at this thing. He's like, aren't you on leave? I was like, yeah, as of like 10 minutes ago, I'm on leave. He's like, why are you still here? When's your flight? I said, 1730. Sergeant Shrek wants me here. He's like, no, leave. No, we don't. Johnston, go. My flight, whatever. She calls me like 3 times and tells me I need to update her every the moment I get to security. Update her the moment. As an older person who knows it a bit, his fucking flight kind of thing, info, because he realized that she was trying to screw me over. Telling me, I get to my gate, I get past security, boot camp backpack, and put that on my back. And one of the TSA guys was like, "Hey," all the way to the front, like, "When's your flight?" I was like, "It's supposed to leave at 1730." He's like, "Here, come on." Like, oh, sorry, as I got here super late, I was rushing through security. I didn't look at my phone. Texting me constantly the entire time I'm alive, make sure whatever it is, because she tried to make me miss a flight. Medical appointment. My medical appointment tried to make me miss a flight. At one point, put that as missing appointments and making herself look bad. Okay, so that is the same thing. Bam. Look bad. I'm also gonna bring this up a little bit. I hate that. I hate that compression. Oh god, I fucking hate that. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. At one point, I had a medical appointment. My medical appointment, because, and I'll tell you why I had this fucking medical appointment and why this pissed me off so much fucking more, for prostate cancer. Hey, what's up, Real Ninja? You never did tell me how you found me, Real Ninja. I'm trying to figure out how I'm being discovered. You know, was this a YouTube thing? Did you just find me on Twitch? Ren? Ren? Oh, grunt style. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm so used to people not actually using those things to support people. But hi, how you doing, man? Or woman, or whatever. I appreciate it. I try to too, as much as I see it. I really need to dial down the number of discords I in because I end up muting so many of them because I'm in so many that I just get constant notifications. Yeah, right now I'm just editing a video about my worst boss. I figured I spent a lot of my time editing, so I was gonna start. Fuck it, might as well get some watch hours out of it. So stream myself editing sometimes. But this is a video about my worst boss in the Navy, because of my genetic. Now, if you're a military person, I got 2 stories already that I think you'd like. Because I have one about me being immune to pepper spray, and that pisses everyone off, and I got one about me getting fucked up with simunitions, and that people find funny. Those are on my YouTube if you want to check this out. But those are the ones I like sharing with military guys. But they tend to get pissed off. But I appreciate it. Thanks, Ren. Oh, don't worry about it. But no, those ones on YouTube, so watch those one at your own time. But like, I love sharing. I love when I tell people that we're in the military that I'm immune to pepper spray because they always get so angry. Genetics, for one, like a lot of the men in my family in my direct line have had and some other shit. Like, yeah, you need. I will do. Need to see a specialist about this so that we can figure this out. So we're basically trying to figure out whether I had prostate cancer or something else. Died a few years ago. I tell her my appointment's at 7:30 the day before. Show up for muster because show up early for muster. I was like, "Are you okay?" Somewhere 30 minutes away. She's like, "I'll be there at 7." The appointment is somewhere that is 30 minutes away. I'm already going to be late, even if I muster and leave immediately. Rolls around, she's still not there. 7:20 rolls around, she's still not there, and I end up going to like the chief and the army captain and like, hey, I was told I had to muster, but like which is I guess technically muster, whatever. It wasn't a formation. I say, hey, whatever. I'm gonna be late because my to make me late for that appointment because she's just a petty bitch. Then when I got back, she tried to act all nice, and probably because she got yelled at, tried to act all nice. Are you okay? But I need to, like, for about a year or two there, every quarter I would get rechecked, so I'd get one of those appointments for the time that she would try to make me late for every single appointment I was ever at for the time I was under her chain of command. Hold on. I was ever at for the time I was under her chain of command. So she would do shit like that. What do I have still? Here's the audacity. Constantly shit talking my still. And here's the audacity. How bad I was at my job and how herself up for an award that was meant to be an award for the people doing the work, not the supervisors, to the person above her. Flag letter of commendation award should she be writing herself up. My work that she consistently advanced by 0.48 points. Award for me, and the only reason I sort of one of the people that was in that administrative chain of command that area and was kind of administrative after I got back from training, it's like, hey, working on all this, you did this and this and this and this and this. I was like, Shrek just got an award. The ones that it was supposed to be submitted to, she was one of the ones that was supposed to be submitted to get approved. See it. And this was also work. Not only was this my work, and this was exactly had an impact on the work more, to the point where if I was at work and she saw me working on it, I was like, well, Sergeant, I had some free time. So what I started doing was coming in an hour saved lives. It was something that I did that directly had an impact on the world and saved fucking lives. That she directly told me that I was not to work on anymore. She kept telling me that was another piece of busy work. I told you. I was like, okay, fine. Early and stay. Kept telling me to stop fucking working on it. Pure spite. Her reasoning was at the time I think by that point I was just making a mountain. Here's a little spoiler for you. I wasn't. Once they found out I was right, once I was able to became a very fucking big deal. Come in 2 hours early and stay 2 hours late so that like, well, boss said I can't work on it, so I'm there and not be addressed. Coming in early, staying late every day, any point, chew me out, give me busy work, yell at me, threaten to write me up, all this different shit. Part of the start of me learning how to supersede your bosses, kind of threaten to write me up, all this different shit. Eventually, I'm gonna put that all under Steal My Ward, but also eventually, I'm gonna end up putting that under forcing me to not do necessary work. Always stayed late. He always got in early. We were late. When I was staying late, it was the quickest way to get to the bathroom. But there was another route to get to a different bathroom that would cross right in front of Chief's desk. I got really interested in everything everyone was working on. Really good guy. I really liked him. I'm there about an hour and a half late, so it'd be very obvious that I was staying late. I'm just kind of working on this thing, you know. I want you to work on this. I was like, like I could see him yesterday. I was like, he's like, is that it? I was like, yes. I think it's a very big deal. Now I can finally work on this thing at work, and I'm being directly told by Warrant and everyone to work on this. And that entire group wants me to work on this, and now it is something that is being. There's all this other work you need to do. There's other busy work to do. That how I finally kind of solved this problem with that is to that little cluster. How I finally solved this. Sorry, I'm tired of having my work on this thing undermined. I am trying to okay, whatever, and kind of sweep it under the rug. I work on it. She gives me other work to do for me to do. So I can only have other intentions. Might be a security risk. Where you're coming from, I fully period of time. She gets moved from that shop, and it's going to be a while where they have someone, and it just looks bad on the entire fucking. He finally stops fighting me on this. I finally get to finish this. Trust the actual stuff. Like as long as I was getting my job done, they didn't do I didn't tell them as much about this shit. I didn't trust any Navy chief that ends up as. And at this point, she still had me do push-ups. She still had me do this shit about her demeaning me. But I did eventually tell them about her demeaning me and doing all this. So they go handle her, and she finally stops fighting me on this. I finally get to finish this. But here's work done. They didn't. I didn't trust them to handle this. If there's any, I loved her. You could not shit beef because I'm doing work. I think shit. We'll talk to the chain of command, but it pissed me off that much. I just got up and walked away. To me, like, where did you go? You need to tell me where you go. You need to tell me everywhere you're going. Why are you going somewhere not telling me? Black woman, like, just kind of. Chief pulls her into a side office that's like down the hall. I see them going to the side office. Look at me and give me a look that says, "I quick into that same room with me. You can come to me." Like, and she looked at me and was not bring myself to say all the fucking. Or when Chief was walking over after Sergeant Shrek came to talk to me to that office where she was not hold a. You don't get to advance. You don't get to make rank again. They're never going to put you messaging her, like adding her on Facebook or just shooting. Forgot. I met her husband. I liked her husband. Her shit. I think she is. the part of the story I almost forgot. Here's a part of the story. She's divorced. Her husband was actually a nice guy. Her husband was super cool. Her recent pictures go on and stay in the military anymore. Or she'd be at a base, or she'd be whatever. Someone clip what part? Because I have this all recording. I'm gonna make a video out of this. Every picture she had on Facebook. But here's one of the fucked up things that she did. Also. But here's book to tell her what a massive piece of shit I think. But here's one of the fucked up things that she did. And this isn't even as fucked up. This is just telling about the type of person she is. My entire time in the military, I always showed up early, at least an hour early, and a chance to leave early, except for after a certain point, but I'll explain that when I talk about my second worst boss in a different Shrek get put on an exercise, 100, and Sergeant Shrek agreed, yeah, we should probably have a 30-minute turnover time, but she's not there. She's supposed to relieve me at 4. I'm heading upstairs right now. You can get my stuff. I get ready to go. I see I'm still not technically showing up. She was saying that I could show up late. I didn't even show up late. Well, he's supposed to be here at 1600, but he always comes in early. After getting to go through. Let me see that. I don't know if I'm going to put that as one long video or several. Bam. And then making herself look bad, I would say. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Welcome to leadership. Bam. Or I have to add to this too. I had to re-record some stuff on another video. So for the moment, I'm gonna take about an hour break, then I'll come back for the gaming part of the stream. But thank you to everyone who was watching. I appreciate it. I'm gonna probably try to start doing this a little bit more if it's something people are interested in. Because hey, why not? Just